can have a Lando stand and you can have Lewis Hamilton on his home circuit with a straight named after him. But when Max Verstappen wants to do a lap, Max Verstappen does a lap. And Tim Kraaij, you were on the ground for a sensational qualifying with 6 drivers within 2/10. It was so tight at the front. Max Verstappen somehow, after all of that, ended up being on pole position for tomorrow's British Grand Prix. How did this all shake out?
Yeah, it was an amazing lap. I think the whole audience here was in awe as well. There was a lot of cheers, of course, for Lewis Hamilton, who went P2 after his first run. There were a lot of cheers when Lando moved up in the timing sheets. But there was even a cheer when Max got the pole position, because this came out of absolutely nowhere. After the session, we spoke with him, with the Dutch media as well. And even he himself was surprised. He said no one expected this. He spoke about the fact that there are some people in the team who sometimes always think that these type of pole positions are possible. I think referring to Helmut Marko, of course, who was always a little bit too optimistic. But he himself was very surprised with everything that was possible today. Even in Q1 and Q2, it didn't seem to be able to get to that pole position, even not on the Friday as well. Yeah, an amazing pole position here. I think everyone was in awe. The understeer seems to be away. The temperatures maybe helped a little bit as well. Tiny bits of drizzle here as well. So overall, a very impressive qualifying for him.
Do you think, Tim, put you on the spot a little bit, that this is Max's best lap? And I say that from the perspective of how he's gone into this weekend with the car struggling a lot on Friday as well. We saw some of the understeer problems he had, unable to get the tyre rotated. And off the backing of all this, he comes in, Verstappen, with a lap that seemed to blow everybody else away when everyone else looked like they were going to fight for it with a couple of tenths between, or a couple of thousandths even between them. And then Max comes in with a lap that's a tenth better than everybody else.
That's one hell of a job to pick one out that is the best. There's been so many laps that he's been doing over the years in Japan, also earlier in Silverstone, but also laps on Zandvoort with the pressure so high. Abu Dhabi 2021 taking the pole there. I think there has been so many occasions where he took the pole position under an immense amount of pressure. His qualifying over the years has become much more his strong suit, where in the start of his career he was a very good racer, but need to develop his qualification skills, especially back then compared to Daniel Ricciardo. If you look at him now, he's maximizing every qualification that's out there. And to compare those is a little bit difficult, but this was certainly a very, very good one.
Is these sorts of performances the sort of problem that Stella has got with not ruling Max out of the championship? Because you look at the points and you think, well, that's a big, hefty gap, especially after what we saw in Austria with him not finishing the race. But so often Max Verstappen can pull something out of the hat to threaten McLarens and beat them. And is this the reason why he's not out of the championship, according to Andrea Stella?
This specific question, I lay in front of Andrea Stella just after the qualification in the media session we had with him. And Andrea Stella is always very complimentary about Max. He says, Max is Max and he can do stuff like this. So we're not even surprised anymore with the fact that he can do this. On the other hand, he said that Red Bull is one of the better teams on this track because of the layout of the circuit with a lot of high-speed corners as well. Something that we've seen in Suzuka earlier, of course, in the season. Although I still think this was a little bit more special and this was a little bit more surprising for everyone and especially the team. So I think Stella defended his drivers there a little bit, which of course he's normally to do. He also said that Lando and Oscar both got the maximum out of the car. Oscar didn't get a good proper improvement or didn't get an improvement at all in his second lap. Lando did. Still wasn't quick enough for Oscar. The vision from Andrea Stella was that there was not more in it. But if you saw the improvements in all the second runs in Q3, I think there was a little bit more in that McLaren. But still, Max just put the maximum out of it. And after the session, he said, my first question to Max was, where did this come from? Because no one saw it coming. And he was like basic Max. He said, I just pushed the throttle 100%. That's all.
Why didn't you think of that earlier in the season? Oh, Max, what are you like? Let's talk about the other surprise. I don't know if it's a surprise. It's a surprise in the context of the season, but not a surprise in the context of the circuit. Lewis Hamilton looking like Lewis of old, and something we've seen very rarely in the Ferrari in 2025. But he was in the fight for pole position. How happy was he with his result, or was he thinking this was one that got away from him?
Yeah, you would seem that he would be a little bit disappointed with the performance, because over the whole qualification and the whole weekend, it looked like pole position would be possible for Lewis Hamilton. Even after the first run in Q3, you thought, okay, this is possible for Lewis Hamilton. There was a big cheer from the crowd, but it got a little bit away from him, like you said, and he himself, after the qualification, was quite happy, and that was surprising to me. He was happy about the fact that he is getting more in tune with the car. And yeah, the second run, he had a lot of understeer, he said, so there was not a big issue, but yeah, had more understeer with the situation on track, with the circumstances here, with the wind. But it was overall a good performance, and I think he is constantly looking at Charles Leclerc. He's using more of his setup during weekends, looking more to his setup, not really to his own liking. That's something that's more for 2026. So yeah, hopefully he get more out of himself back then. But I think this was already a massive step for him, and that's why he was quite joyful in big comparison to his teammate.
Let's talk about his teammate, because Charles looked like he had a bit of pace as well, and I thought he's generally been the faster of the two Ferraris this year. Hamilton seems to have that magical quarter of a second that you can just find when he goes to Silverstone. They're sharing the same row, third row, but Leclerc pipped to fifth place by Lewis's time. He seemed to be quite unkind to himself on the radio.
Yeah, and he still was a few 10, 20 minutes after in the media pen as well. He was quite critical about himself, that he is not feeling himself in qualification, where he used to have more criticism about himself after races where he thought, okay, I could have done this better or this better. This year, he says, in races, I have nothing to complain about myself. But in so many qualifications, when I look back at it, I think I should have done multiple things better. And yeah, he was quite critical about that. The qualification always have been his strong suit, but haven't been so far this season. He's still out-qualifying Lewis Hamilton so far this season. But this was not a fun qualification for him, and that mainly outed in the board radio as well, of course, after the session. But yeah, not a happy man, although they are quite happy with the updates they're bringing. But yeah, there's also a mysterious problem with Ferrari, which keep coming back, and they're quite vague about what it is. But there is an issue with the car that's coming up in Q3. And sometimes it's for Leclerc, sometimes it's for Lewis. They can't tell what it is. They're not saying it's anything mechanical. They're not saying it's anything about the car. So you get the feeling it's about the engine. But because they're keep being so fake, it's guessing, and we don't have a clue what really the problem is. But it's very strange they keep this so fake.
Not so strange when you think about Ferrari in their history. You don't ever slate the team, and they do obviously mask some of their problems. Let's briefly just touch on Ollie Bearman, who had a bit of a shocker in FP3. There's a red flag, and on pit entry he ends up going into the wall, which I don't think I've ever seen anybody do anything like that in a free practice session under red flag conditions. 10-place grid penalty for having an incident under the red flag. What was this all about, Tim? This was madness.
British drivers and pit entries, it's always a good combination. This is gonna lose all our views. No, I'm sorry. In terms of Ollie, it went in the pit lane with 260 kilometers per hour. It was just way too quick. And he got penalized very heavily by the FIA, making such a big mistake. 10 place grid drop for Sunday. After the qualification, he was very harsh for himself. He said it was a stupid mistake. And yeah, that he should have known better, that he should have done better as well. And especially it's heartbreaking, of course, after such a strong qualifying where his PA in the Haas, the updates seem to work really well. They're in the top 10 again, can score some good points, and then you're going to start from P18. Now, I have to say, Haas overall this season has been very good with the race so far in terms of getting more to the front, being a little bit ambitious with their strategies as well that turn out very well. So I think that could something still be for tomorrow during the race. But yeah, a little bit heartbroken, Ollie, after the qualification here.
I'm still heartbroken from 2007 Chinese Grand Prix, and you just bring it up like that without any warning, Tim, with that. Oh,
sorry.
That gravel entry still gets me. It still gets me. Listen, Tim, as ever, you've been really good getting all these stories for us. So thank you for everything so far. Tomorrow, of course, is a race, and it really is one of those British Grand Prix where you just don't know who could win with so many drivers at the front showing so much pace. Max Verstappen with a skinny wing, and the McLarens chasing on his tail, and of course the Lewis Hamilton specialty around this track. So we'll find out everything from post-race with you again tomorrow. Until then, thank you everybody for watching.